What's up, good people? I'm back in the building, man. Mike Steele, I'm back in the building. How y'all doing, good folks? Man, I got a special guest. Y'all know I bring the best in the building. You don't have to have your earphones on or nothing like that. But y'all can see her, though. There she is. Guys, man, welcome to Real Talk with Mike Steele. I'm back in the building, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. My goal is to bring some of the hottest and the best talent in the area. It doesn't matter if it's Birmingham, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Denver, Colorado. That's my claim. That's my duty, man, to bring y'all some interesting people, man. We learn about them together, and we celebrate them together too. And you already know how we get started. And I don't think Judge Fortune know this. And I wasn't gonna tell her this, so it's not even a big surprise though. It's what I do when I bring guests on to the show. It's my signature thing, the thing that I do, the thing that I'm known for. I just ask you one question. That's how I just ask you a question.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
Judge, like, man, what is this guy up to?
I'm like, you didn't tell me this.
No, I did. I don't tell nobody. I mean, now, if you happen to scroll through my show and you see a show and at the beginning, you're going to know what I asked. But that's good. I'm glad you didn't. But it's an easy question, man. So in one word, describe who you are. That's all. In one word. Drum roll, please.
I would say compassionate.
Compassionate. Man. Compassionate. Why?
I think I have a heart for the people. I am always, and starting from childhood, I've always been one to want to see others do better and to be able to help and support in any kind of way to lift other people up. So I would say that I'm compassionate because I like to see people succeed regardless on where they are in life.
Compassionate. Ladies and gentlemen, far and wide, put your hands together for Madam, the Honorable Judge Marie Fortune. Give it up, guys. She can't hear this, though. Man, they clapping. They're clapping. Man, what are y'all doing? Man, thank y'all, man. So, again, we have Judge Marie Fortune in the building, man. It's an honor to have you on. You and I, we've been speaking for a while now, trying to get you on, and now I finally got you on.
I'm excited to be here this evening, so thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. Now, let me say this too. Now, I had on the show, on my radio show with my cast at one point in time.
Yes.
Yeah, and we had fun too, but it was fun. It was informative. It was fun, but I wanted to kind of have another one-on-one with you.
All right, I'm ready for it.
Yes, and because I want to dig a little deep.
Okay.
Talk about some things. Yeah, so now, where you grew up? Because I don't know these things, and I want my people that don't know these things about you to learn that. So, are you from Birmingham?
I am not from Birmingham, but Birmingham is now my home, and I absolutely love Birmingham. But I'm originally from Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
Okay, Mile High? Is that?
Mile High.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Denver, Colorado, the Mile High.
Yeah, Charlie. All right, so, and what bring, no, let me just stop there because, so you grew up in Denver, right?
I did.
Talk about your parents for a minute, if you will.
So I grew up in a two-parent home.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was the chief of state for tax in Colorado. My dad worked for the airlines, and so I guess you would say I was a daddy's girl. So I was always with him anytime that I could be with him. My parents were very involved in the church, so I was raised in the church, and I think that's where I get my foundation and my faith and also my desire to want to help others. Just seeing my dad was very instrumental in our community. My aunt had a ministry where she fed the homeless, and she would give out clothes, and I would go with my dad on the weekends, and we would go down and they would minister to individuals in the community who are homeless or without, and I would always go with him. And I guess I didn't realize how big that was for me as I was watching and observing how my family was sowing into individuals in our community.
Wow. That's a great thing.
Yes.
Do you have any siblings?
I don't have any siblings. I am an only child.
What?
Stop
the brakes. They say the only child be spoiled.
Okay, I am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm spoiled, and I'm still spoiled. So.
I'm just saying. I don't know these things because I'm not the only child, but I'm just saying they say.
They're correct.
Yeah.
They are correct, but I'm still humble. You can still be spoiled and still be humble.
Yeah, and it seems like, watching your mom and dad do things and be involved in the community, it got you outside of yourself, really, because helping others, man, really do that for you. You don't focus on you and what you need when you see less fortunate people need a whole lot more than what you need.
Right.
And what you got.
And I think, too, what really was very instrumental in my childhood is even though I went to private school, but where I lived at, I still lived in a community where gang violence was very prominent in my neighborhood. So when I would come home from school, I still had to deal with the gang violence that I saw in my neighborhood. And a lot of times those were because I grew up in that neighborhood. Those were some of my closest friends. Right. And so seeing what they were going through, a lot of them didn't have that mother that they could come and talk to or that father that they could come and talk to. So a lot of them found themselves at my house talking to my mom and my mom sewing into them and just being that sound voice.
Doing the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Dad was doing the same thing. Mom was probably more understanding than dad when it came to some of the gang members that may have come around, but mom was more understanding.
Dad was like, who that visiting doing?
So
with that deep voice.
But no, it was my mom was over our youth ministry at our church, and so a lot of times we would take them all to church. We had like a basketball team. Mm-hmm. So we tried to do different positive things with them in the community to show them that there was a different way of life.
Yeah.
And so I think that was so instrumental in me going down the path of what I wanted to do and becoming an attorney and eventually a judge.
So did you play any sports in middle school?
I played basketball in middle school, and I would say if I would have stuck with it, I probably would have ended up getting a scholarship.
Really?
But I didn't like to sweat. So when I got to high school, I did not play any longer and became a cheerleader.
Oh, okay. But that was just too much going on for you.
Yeah. I was like, I loved it. I was great at it. I played from 6th to 8th grade in middle school. And then I played, I believe, 9th grade in high school. Mm-hmm. And then I ran track one year, which was 9th grade. And just the sweating, I was like, oh, this is not for me.
Wow.
So I think they made us run the stairs one day. They took us to one of the stadiums. We had to run the stairs. And I was like, yep, this is not what I'm going to do. But my parents would never let me quit in between the season. So, you always have to finish the end of the sport. Yeah. And that's what I did. And I moved on to cheerleading and thoroughly enjoyed cheerleading.
Oh, yeah. And your parents did right, too.
Yes. I was like, you never quit.
You started? No, we were going to finish what we started.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what I did.
So you ran in middle school, you ran track and played basketball?
So no, I only ran track in high school freshman year. And then that's when I stopped track. But I played basketball throughout. And then I did a little bit of volleyball too in middle school. So
it's safe to say you were athletic.
I was athletic. You got to be an athlete to be a cheerleader too. I know a lot of times people don't think that.
That is.
So you do have to be an athlete to be a cheerleader.
Absolutely.
So
I don't know why. It's a stereotype, basically.
It is. That's why we got to change people's mindset. Yeah,
but this is what we're doing now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
We raising awareness, right? Some people may think like I just assumed and said, well, you're an athlete, but you told me you was a cheerleader too.
Yeah.
And you have to be an athlete.
Now, my kids would probably say I was an athlete, so they would probably be on the same line as you, but I would consider myself an athlete. And so, yeah.
But I'm going to give you the credit because, they are athletes. So,
yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, In middle school? I'm just going. Were you a shy kid growing up? Or you outgoing, outspoken?
I was shy. I
Yeah.
would have to say I was an introvert to a certain extent. I never had large groups of friends, but
Right.
I had close friends. So I always had that three to four friends that I was really close with that, I went to school from elementary school to high school that were my friend group consistently. But I guess people knew who I was, so I did, I definitely spoke out for myself, but I was probably more on the quiet side and more of an introvert. I like to observe and watch, and I think I
You're a
still do
people
that.
watcher?
I am a people
People
watcher.
watch.
And so, but that gives me discernment.
Yeah.
And so, I think that helped out to my advantage, but I still had a great friend group that I hung out with in middle school that I took along with me to high school.
Okay. So they joined you in high school too?
They did. It was the four of us. We went from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade together. So
it's like 90210, guys.
I don't know about that one.
No, not exactly. I'm just talking about the group of friends,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So I think you answered the question I was going to ask too. Is popular, but you said you was an introvert, maybe.
So I was still popular. So it's kind of funny. And so I went to private school, and so I was very quiet there. But then people around in my neighborhood never knew I went to private school and I would still go to all the public school events. And so I was very well known in the community as far as like hanging out with my friends who didn't go to the schools with me.
Right.
And I was like, I even became prom queen, which I'm like, I don't know how I became prom queen because I was quiet. But I think people still in private school.
Go ahead.
I was.
Go ahead.
And so, but I would have to say I was still quiet, but I still knew when to turn it on and turn it off.
Okay. Okay. So, is it? Will you consider yourself? That's another question. Let me stick to my format here.
Okay.
Now high school. Now we talked a little bit about middle school, but you also added some high school in there too. So how was your academics in high school?
I was a straight A student primarily.
Oh God!
I had a B there occasionally, but pretty much straight A's.
Can you talk to the average folks?
I mean, now I'm by no means that it wasn't hard, and I did not, struggle in certain areas.
Yeah.
And I would always say that math was probably one of my weaknesses, and that's why I ended up going to law school.
Okay.
But I always my parents made sure that I had a tutor in place to make sure that I got what I needed in regards to make sure that I was able to maintain my grades.
Did you have good study habits?
I had excellent study habits, and I'm trying to instill that in my children now. And so Do you
have boys?
I have a boy and a girl.
Okay, we'll talk because which one you trying to steal?
Which one do you think?
The boy,
of course.
Because girls, man. Because I got a boy and a girl too, and they totally different.
Totally different. Yeah. But no, I think just because from elementary school, we always had a large amount of homework. So I think starting at a very young age and sitting down and doing the time management. But I would say in high school, I would get out of school probably around 4, and I would study consistently from 4 to probably 11 at night every single night. Wow. And so I would take a break to eat. And, if I did have some kind of sports activities, I would do that. But if I didn't have anything, I was studying from 4 to 11 every single night.
Did mom and dad have to tell you?
They never told me. I had my space down in our basement. I would go down. I had a spot on my floor that I left an indentation and that I would sit every single night, and I would study every single evening. And I think that is definitely what helped carry me on through college and just in life in general, of learning that discipline and that structure of studying.
That's a good thing, man. Because most boys, you got to say, hey, man, you got to get your work done, man. Hey, what are you doing? You just can't play a video game all night. You gotta spend time on your education.
I'm glad I'm realizing that so that's what boys do.
That's what boys do.
Okay, you're making me feel a little bit better as a parent than I thought I was maybe failing.
No, you're not. You're doing a great job. It's just, it's apples and oranges.
I'm learning that. And my daughter's the same way with me, just like me. Even on Friday nights, and we'll say, let's go do something. And she'll I got to get my homework done first before I can go and do anything. Whereas my son is like, I'll wait till Sunday night at 10 o'clock to get started on my homework. So
that I should have done on Friday. Should have started on Friday.
Right. So it is completely different, but he's definitely learning. And I definitely can see the change that he is becoming a lot more disciplined. So I'm so excited to see that.
Yeah. How old is he?
He turned 15 on Sunday. So
happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yes. And your daughter?
And she's 13.
Oh yeah. Oh man. So. See, look, you see, even at that age, it's almost like they the same age or she's older.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, same like my son. And I love both of my kids the same.
Right.
But I have an 18-year-old son. Daughter, and a 21-year-old son.
So you were right there.
And she been bossing him around and telling him what he's supposed to be doing.
That's about what I'm dealing with too. Yes.
Yeah, and you just got to sit back and like.
Right. Well, at least I realized that that's the norm. So you're making me feel good.
Well, I'm glad that I could help you.
Yes, thank you.
Because
it was a little counseling session for me today.
I'm glad that I can raise that awareness and say, hey, it's a typical thing.
Right. But no, both of them are great kids. I wouldn't trade them in for the world. They are excellent students overall and just great people in general.
Yeah, that's good. And, you're doing a good job. After high school, so what did you plan on going to college?
I did. I knew probably, and that's what I tell everybody, that from probably 14, 15 years old, I wanted to be an attorney and a judge. And so
hold on now. Mm-hmm. So you knew what you wanted to be at a young age.
I did.
That's awesome.
I did. And so, and and I don't know how I really got there because I didn't have any role models. I didn't grow up with attorneys in my family or judges in my family.
You the first time judge?
I'm first time college graduate in my family. So, it was something me maneuvering the water on my own. But what was very instrumental in me wanting to go to law school and become an attorney and a judge is just my environment.
Yeah.
Although I went to private school, as I reiterated earlier, I still came home to an environment where a lot of my friends were in and out of the juvenile detention centers. And then a lot of times I felt like they didn't get a fair shake, that the judges, the attorneys weren't necessarily representing them.
Even at a young age, you kind of saw that.
I did see that.
Yeah.
And the part is that I knew them personally. I knew that they were good people. A lot of times people do certain things because they may be in certain situations in their home. And so I saw that wasn't taken into consideration as to what could we do to try to help rehabilitate them versus just going ahead and locking them up and sending them down the road. And so I wanted to make sure, even and when I after I graduated from college, when I went to law school, I became a public defender because I wanted to make sure, regardless of what your socioeconomic status or your income, that you are going to be able to have representation as if you had retained an attorney. And that's what I provided as a public defender.
Before I get into that, though, you attended college where? Undergrad?
Undergrad, I went to the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado. So
so you kind of stayed at home around.
I did. I was bribed by my parents. So
what you mean by bribed by your parents?
I was bribed. I wanted to leave the state because I'd always lived in Colorado. But my parents told me if I stayed in state, that they would pretty much help assist and pay for my college education. So looking at student loan versus no student loans, I took them up on that and stayed in state.
That's a great opportunity.
That is a great opportunity.
When you look at so many people who have student loans and can't pay them back and they're in debt now.
Well, now I still got student loans in law school, so that's a whole different.
But that's a whole different thing.
Yes,
you could have way more.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
And
then that does add a high level of stress on you.
Definitely, yes.
And it's unfortunately, getting right out of college, the income isn't always right there when you need it. And so I am thankful that I didn't have to worry about my paying for my college education. So
absolutely.
Definitely blessed in that area.
So did you pledge anything in college?
I did. I am a Delta. So of course. of course. Did you see the red that I wore today?
Man, come on, Mike. Come on, Mike.
Now you should have known.
Yeah, I should be able to read
see the
it.
red?
Yeah.
You should have read. Yeah, I came in with the red coat and
red
everything.
Red coat, red. Come on, Mike.
Yeah, red shoes. You should have known.
Man, what am I saying? This?
So don't do me that away.
I even got on some type of red.
You did, so you knew. Yeah, you got the memo.
Yeah, so So how was college? I mean, you undergrad college life for you.
I loved it. I always tell everybody college is the best experience that anyone can experience. Even though I went there for my education.
That's right.
But yet still, that's a time where you're learning yourself, you're growing, you're learning that discipline that you need in order to be able to succeed and to become that person that you're going to need to become in order to be successful in the world. And so, and I pay and owe all that to learning those skills as in high school, of learning how to study and having that discipline that then made it a lot easier for me in college, because I saw so many friends who didn't have the discipline, and then they got out there, they partied, they flunked out, and their life is a little bit harder right now. And so, and I took that same studying habits to college. And I would go. I had a friend, which is so funny. He married my best friend, but me and him, he's a doctor now. We would every single day we would get out of school around 4:00, and we would go to the library and we shut it down to 12. And so we stayed there and studied every single night. And so
look at him.
And he's a doctor now, an anesthesiologist. And so so that is my buddy.
Do you believe with the right guidance or just the right environment, people can be whatever they choose to be within the context of what, the scope of their intellect maybe?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I think, I understand that everybody's not dealt the same hand, and by no means did I come from an affluent home. My parents were middle class. They had to work hard. My mom started out as a secretary with the state of Colorado and worked her way all the way up to the chief of tax, which is one of the highest positions in Colorado. And so looking at her going from
that's not having a judicial position, right?
She basically she handled all the taxes for the state of Colorado. She did all the audits for the state and managed. And so, but looking at her coming
that's like a CPA job, isn't it?
Kind of, sort of, to a certain extent. Wow. But looking at her starting as a secretary when she was 18, 19 years old, and then retiring, being
from the state
chief of tax for the state of Colorado.
She started when she was 18, and she held that job down, and she retired. I mean, through the state. Mm-hmm. So she got state retirement and all.
She did.
Come on, man. That's what life is.
Did. And so just seeing her coming. And so that's why I say
that's a beautiful story.
Regardless. And, she was in the Jet magazine. She was in the Ebony magazines back then, of showing how she worked her way up. And so that's why I say that, it's having people believe in you and sow into you. It doesn't matter where you are in life. And that's what I take to the bench. And that's what I try to tell individuals who are dealing with addiction in my courtroom, that it doesn't matter where you're at. This doesn't have to be your future. You make that choice. And when you're given resources and you're given people who are willing to invest in you, I think you can become whoever you wish to become. Sometimes it's a little harder than others. I think what's important too is relationships. And a lot of times, it's us that we have to make sure that we're being intentional in building the relationships that we need to build too.
What was your major undergrad?
So I majored in business. And so I knew I wanted to go to law school. And then my minor was in sociology.
Okay.
But I knew the reason I did the business aspect of it was just for they said pretty much when you go to law school, you can kind of study anything. Yeah. And so I knew eventually I wanted to have my own law firm. So if I knew the business aspect of it, that would make it a little bit easier for me.
Right.
Graduating from undergrad and then going into law school.
And then you got the business background, you have that, and you apply that to your law firm.
Correct. And that's what I did. So that was very instrumental.
So after undergrad, you go to?
I went to the University of Denver for law school. And that was one of the other things I wanted to leave state, but I just thought it would be better to stay in state just to be closer and around family. And so I chose to go to the University of Denver
Wow.
for law school. And so that was a great experience, and was able to save some money and stay at home with my parents while I was in law school, which was helpful.
What?
I did.
But Mom, hey, can I come over there?
I did.
Yeah, come on. And that's what I tell my son living with us now. But, man, hey, just finish school.
Right.
I'm not in a hurry to get him or get my daughter even out the house either. I mean, I feel like as parents, let me just stop because I want to say this too. Sometimes in a Black household, we are so ready to get rid of our kids. I can't wait till he leave, or she leave. But honestly, man, I feel like if you're able to have your kids in the house and if they're going to school or whatever they're choosing to do that's productive, and if we can help them along the way so they won't accumulate a lot of debt. Correct. And then I think that's what we should be doing.
I so agree with you.
That's why I'm not trying to, kick my son out the house because he's a great kid anyway. But I just want to support him and let him understand that we're here for you to try to help you so you won't be in debt like we were in debt.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
And
I want to
so
give you an
important.
opportunity.
Right.
Give a kid a chance to win.
Right. And I was going to say, times have changed so much, even from, when we were younger and graduating from college, and the cost of living now is just so astronomical that it makes it hard for them to be, attempting to, go to school, get on their feet. And so I think it is our responsibility to a certain extent. We want them to be able to stand up and be, the man or the woman that, we know that they're capable of being and not rely on us, but it doesn't hurt to help them as they're working towards getting on their feet and becoming that person.
Yes. So was law school hard for you? Difficult?
Yeah, I would say it was. Yeah. I was going to say, I did not like school. Nothing about law school was fun to me.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the Socratic.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I didn't like the Socratic method where they call on you and you have to brief the cases because I was an introvert. So I didn't like to get up and have to speak and, discuss the case in front of the classroom. And so, but I think,
how you got over that?
I did never get over it. I hated law school all 3 years because of that part of it. And so I was very thankful when that was done. And then the next step was taking the bar. And so, it was a great experience to get me to the next level, but I don't wish law school on anyone. So,
wow.
Yes.
Wow. You talk about having to go up in front of the class and brief a case, and how uncomfortable that made you feel. But yet you went on to become a public defender.
I did.
Which you had to do a lot of that at sometimes at a less cost.
That is so true. And it's so funny is because I always say, like Beyonce has her alter ego. And so I think in the court, I get an alter ego. So I'm a completely different person. So it doesn't.
It's like you turn something on.
I do turn something on. And so I become a different person where I don't have the same.
What would be your alter ego name?
Oh, goodness. I don't know.
You don't know yet?
I don't know. I haven't put a name with it. But
Matlock. No, I'll just play.
But I don't have that same. Of course, anytime you're doing it, you're trying a jury trial and, somebody's life is on the line, you always have, some of that fear because you want to make sure you're doing everything that you can, within the law to be able to effectively represent that person and give them their time in court. So you always have that nervousness with it. But I would say that I'm more comfortable. But it goes away, though.
I'm sure it goes away once you're in it, though.
It does. And I think, it's anything that you do, the more you're prepared for something and you know the law, your topic, then you're going to be more effective and not have the fear with, going in and representing a person in court. And that was one thing that I always prided myself to make sure that I was prepared when I went into court to represent whoever my clients were.
Yeah, you owe them that much, though. You owe them all of that.
Correct.
Because, either you're a public defender or they paying, a lot of money for you.
Correct.
But you, as per ethics, you owe them everything that you know
Right.
And everything that you don't know, you will learn.
Right.
You owe them that much when you represent somebody. And I know I'm speaking to the choir. I'm just talking in general.
Correct.
To someone, even, like even if you are counseling someone, you owe them the best you.
Correct. Right.
So, when you're doing a service for people, don't half-ass it. Excuse my language.
No, you're right.
You got to give people everything that you got, man.
Right.
Don't, if you choose to do this kind of work.
Correct. I mean, because and like you said, when you have to give them your all, you have to be, up to date on the laws. You need to be able to understand and know their facts and how it may relate to the law, because at the end of the day, that is somebody's life who's being impacted. And so it does bother me when I have seen, whether I was practicing law or a judge, where people come in and they're not completely prepared, because that's somebody's life who is at stake, regardless if it's a divorce case, a custody case, and or a criminal case. That's their worst day, and they're relying on us to be able to make, to be able to put on the best case so that the judge can make, a ruling, according to law.
When you see something like that, and I'm going to ask you a couple, I'm going to backtrack 1 second here, but when you see, because that just raised another question in my head, when you see a unprepared attorney come into your courtroom representing someone, do you mention that as a lawyer? I mean, as an attorney, or I'm not saying you mention in a very harsh and disrespectful way, but do you call attention to that on the bench, or you just wait till it kind of like is over with?
I don't ever call anybody out in court, because I don't want to ever embarrass anyone. But a lot of times as attorneys, especially our newer attorneys, what a lot of them will do is, especially because a lot of the attorneys from the public defender's office or the district attorney's office are assigned to certain courtrooms, and not necessarily discussing any particular case, but a lot of times they'll come in and say, well, how am I doing? What can I work better on?
Oh, okay.
And if there's something that that has been brought to my attention that I see that could be done better, then I will bring it to their attention. There's been times too where I've called, all the public defender's office in and all the district attorneys in, and just had one big meeting and saying, okay, this is what you all can do better as an office, or this is what needs to be done in my courtroom. But I don't ever like to just single somebody out. But
I like that group approach, though.
The goal is that we have a obligation as older, I guess I would call myself older now, that's been practicing, that I tell my husband too, like, now you're in private practice. If you see an attorney who may need some assistance, pull them to the side, take them to lunch, talk with them, to help them out, because, we're all in it together. Somebody had to invest in me and be able to sow into me, to get me to where I'm at, because we don't know everything. And it's a village method that we should all be trying to help each other become the best person that we can be.
And it's only strengthened the whole system as itself.
Correct. Right. Yeah. And not saying anything that, has been negative, from the public defender's office or the district attorney's office. But sometimes, it's just best to say, okay, this is how my courtroom is ran. This is what needs to be done in this way, so that everybody's on one accord and understands what is expected.
Okay. Interesting, because anyway, golly, I can't believe I just saw my train of thought. So, but I still want to go back to a question that I wanted to ask you about law school, because when you knee deep into law school, was there a time where you said, hey man, I just want to quit?
Not really, because I knew what my end goal was. And so, you have to go through those trenches at times to get where you want to be in life. And so I've never been a quitter. So when I take on a task, that I'm going to go ahead and accomplish it. Maybe I wanted to quit when I had to take the bar exam. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is painful and stressful. Studying for the bar is probably when I felt like I wanted to quit for that. But I always knew that, looking at the bigger picture and the purpose, that I always continue to push forward.
Yeah, if someone wanted to be a lawyer at 15 years old. Yeah, but you know what? I can relate to you saying that, though. Because when I tell people I always want to be, I can't compare to a lawyer, but I always wanted to be a social worker.
Right.
And I became a social worker,
And I think that and that's funny you say that, because a lot of the work and that's why I did the sociology
Yes.
in undergrad, because I always had that social part that I was interested in. And so if you look at everything that I've done, I've always been in an area where I'm able to affect change and be able to help people on their worst time. So, being at the public defender's office, and then I went and worked for the city attorney's office, where I worked with social workers doing the dependency and neglect cases, and being able to assure that, looking out for the best interest of children. And then when I moved to Alabama, I went in and started my own practice, but I worked a lot in family court, because once again, that was kind of it still applied the law part, but it still had that social component to it, where you were able to help people and to help rehabilitate them, whether it was juveniles and or helping the families work towards getting custody of their children back in their lives. So that social part is kind of like you were saying.
But that was instilled in you as a child, though, because I think some of that of course, who you are too as a person, but also when you talk about how your parents, they did things in the community, went out, fed people. Yeah, so man, I can see how that can happen. Now, you talked about being a public defender. Did you do that straight out of law school?
I did. So I was interning with the public defender's office in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
When I got my bar results, and when I got my bar results that same day, they hired me on and said, we're offering you a position permanently. And I took it. I remember going in, and they were like, "Here's 300 cases, and this is your courtroom, and you're on your own." And so I always tell young attorneys, if they can start out either at the public defender's office or the district attorney's office, that's the best place at training to go, because one is going to teach you how to multitask. Two, is going to teach you to think on your feet. Three, you're going to be able to do a lot of different jury trials that are going to give you that experience.
Yes,
and so I think that's the best training that anybody can get, is coming, especially if that's the type of work you want to do.
Right.
Start at a public defender's office or a district attorney's office, because I really see the growth. I have a lot of brand new PD, public defenders, and district attorneys that start in my courtroom. And just from when they start and by the time that they transition to a different courtroom, they have grown tremendously, because they're dealing with so many. The volume is just,
300 cases is a lot.
So yes, it is.
And you get to see a lot of different people.
You do.
And that's a Monday through Friday job, right?
It's a Monday through Sunday job. I was gonna say, I was like, you're as far as being a public defender.
Why you say Sunday?
Because what I used to do as a public defender, you would be in court all day. So then you have to prepare for your cases.
Oh, yeah.
So I would prepare on the weekends, and then Saturdays and Sundays, I spent my time in the jail visiting all my clients, getting to know what was going on their cases, going through their discovery with them, because I didn't have time to do it in the daytime because I was in court all day. So it was a 7-day job where I would work, anytime till, 11, 12 o'clock at night sometimes, just to make sure that I was fully prepared for each one of my clients.
How long did you do that?
So I wasn't there. I was there about 18 months.
That's a long time.
And my husband was a district attorney at the time when we were dating. And so, my office that I worked in did not like me dating a district attorney. And so I had to make some tough choices to move on. And picked my relationship over, continuing to be a public defender. So,
big ups, Mr. Fortune.
Yes. So that's when I transitioned to the city attorney's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was at the city attorney's office.
And what kind of law? I mean, you practiced there?
That was the dependency and neglect. So it was more, the dependency in juvenile court. And so I was there, and then ended up getting married. And my husband was actually working in D.C. at Main Justice, doing the child exploitation and trafficking cases in Washington, D.C. And so we were supposed to move to D.C., but I didn't like D.C. And so
you don't like D.C.?
I loved it to visit.
Okay.
But living there, coming from Colorado, I wasn't used to going to 600 square feet of and paying $3,500
I mean,
dollars a
with
month.
no yard.
With no yard.
Nobody have a yard
So,
in DC.
right. And
It's
so
like, what
I
a
wasn't
grass.
used to public transportation. So
Yeah.
all that was new to me. So we didn't actually go. That's how we ended up in Birmingham. So so that was, the goal was to move originally to DC, but then we transitioned and made Birmingham our home.
Birmingham.
Yes.
Yeah, but think you would have been in DC.
DC.
Man.
DC.
Yeah, it's a difference too, but it's
beautiful there.
It is, but the homes are. I think it's just overpriced.
Back then, and I can't even imagine what it was then. And you have to think about, just only being practicing law for 2 or 3 years. You're still trying to build your reputation and your income, and so it was definitely going to be tight for us going to DC. But it would have been a great experience. He enjoyed it while he was at Main Justice in DC. But Birmingham has been great to us, and we absolutely love Birmingham.
Now you're in Birmingham.
In Birmingham, definitely home now. Not going anywhere else.
The Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes.
The dirty South. No, just So, you here?
Yes.
Did you do any practicing law here? What?
I did.
And what type?
And so I had to take the bar exam again. So I had to.
Now I was going to ask you that because you in Colorado now moving to another state, so you got to take the bar all over again.
I did. So I couldn't come out immediately and start practicing law until I took the bar exam. So I buckled down as soon as I moved out here, studied for about 6 months, and then took the bar exam. And I thought I was going to go back to working at the city attorney's office, which is kind of set up a little bit different, but doing the dependency and neglect cases and working with juveniles and children here. And that position wasn't immediately open. And so I decided, why not start your own law firm, Maria? That's what you always wanted to do. And so
there you go.
I stepped out on faith and I started my own practice. And that's when I did focus on the family law, criminal, and then domestic relations, which is like the divorce cases. And so that was kind of my specialty, those 3 areas, when I decided to open up my own practice. And then I did that until the judge position came open. And like I said, we always have our own plan, but God always has another plan.
Absolutely.
For us.
Absolutely. We was just talking about that off camera.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you had your own practice.
I did.
And the judgeship came available.
It did. So before that, I know when I was practicing, I would sit sometimes in family court as a special sitting circuit court judge. Back then, they had a huge backlog of child support cases. And so I had agreed to sit as a special sitting circuit court judge in family court and handle some of those cases. And then I would sit over in domestic relations, which is in divorce court, and referee cases, which is kind of similar to a judge before it gets to the final hearing. A lot of times referees will hear the cases and make basically the temporary orders. And so I was doing that and enjoyed doing both of those. So it gave me some of the experience. And I initially thought I would probably end up in family court, but like I said, God always had another role for me. And so Judge Owens was originally over drug court, and Judge Petro in criminal court was retiring. And Judge Owens applied for her position and was given basically appointed to circuit court, and then that left that seat open, and decided to apply for drug court, and here we are today. And that's been the best decision that I've ever made, and definitely enjoy it.
So now you're in drug court.
I am.
How you like it?
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I think the biggest part is that I'm still able to help affect change just on a larger scale, and to be able to help people. So many times the people that I see are at their rock bottom. So, it doesn't, I know a lot of people think, oh, well, these are people who come from one certain class, but I say, substance abuse and addiction doesn't
have a class.
It doesn't have a class. It impacts no, it doesn't. And so I see people who are from Mount Brook, from Inslee or West End.
Yes.
And so, the goal is I don't treat anybody differently. I want to make sure that I'm offering any resources and services that I can to help them get their life back on track. And what I like most about drug court is a lot of times individuals are dealing with those underlying issues, like the mental health, the grief. And what so many people don't think about is that on a day-to-day basis, we hear all these shootings and these murders that are happening in our city, or these overdoses, but we don't think about the loved ones that are being impacted by them.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing those loved ones that are coming to court who don't know how to handle their grief.
Yeah.
And so we're able to offer, grief counseling for them, helping them with get, their mental health under control, helping them with the childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is real.
It's
and a lot of times
real.
In our communities, we sweep it under the rug
It's
and
overlooked.
think that we think our kids are resilient and that it's not affecting them.
No.
But in reality, it is. And so, I get to be able to help them and connect them with resources and services to help get their life back on track in the programs that we offer through our drug court program. And everybody's not offered drug court. So, if people are selling drugs and, are doing more serious crimes, then, I'm a lot harder on those kind of crimes. But if individuals are truly dealing with an addiction, then the goal is to try to connect them with resources and help them.
For those who's listening, though, how's drug court differ from criminal court?
So, drug court is a part of criminal court, but the difference is that drug court, so the gatekeeper to drug court is usually the district attorney's office. And so they understand and know that, one, you have to be a nonviolent offender.
Right.
And then two, it's usually individuals who may be their first time offenses, or they may have some prior drug offenses. But the goal is that if they go into drug court, then their case gets dismissed if they successfully complete that. And that's huge in our community.
Yes.
And then they also are getting those resources and services that are going to help them maneuver through there. So they're seeing me more frequently if they're in drug court, whereas if they're just going through regular court, they may be placed on probation or community corrections, and they may only see me when they're not doing right. But in drug court, they may see me weekly. They may see me monthly. They're drug tested more consistently, which helps hold them accountable. And then they're offered those different classes that are needed for them. So everybody's service that we offer is on a case-by-case basis. So everybody's not just given, everybody needs to do X, Y, and Z. It's going to be based on what they need.
Yeah, it's like a different... who doing the assessment? Are you assessing? Or?
So we work with UAB. UAB is one of our big partners. And so I have 6 case managers who are in drug court. And so each person is assigned a case manager. Right. And then that case manager will then schedule assessments for them.
Are these students?
No, these are social workers, case managers who, have their degrees, who are providing those resources and kind of connecting them. But then we also, what a lot of people don't know, in Jefferson County, we have counselors right there at the courthouse that are providing substance abuse classes, that are providing grief classes. We have peer support specialists that are in the courts too, that were once in the court system, but now are working for the court system to help them maneuver through the justice system.
Now, as far as treatment, I mean, if someone get having to go to treatment. How that works? I mean, like, because I understand you say you do a case by case situation, right?
So, and a lot of times you don't even have to be in drug court to get the. We have a program pre-trial that goes in, and they determine what services a person may need. And then when they're seen before the court system, from like myself, especially, that I can say, okay, this person has, 8 or 9 different drug charges all over the city, or I've ordered them to do substance abuse. They can be assessed in the jail.
You say in the jail?
Okay. And so we have assessors that go in the jail, assess them. They determine what level of treatment that they need, and then they will place them in a state certified facility. And a lot of these are free of charge. And so, and then they will transport them directly to the treatment facility.
From the jail? So they have no break. They just go from...
They go straight from the jail. Because a lot of times if you give them and allow them to do it, and there are certain situations who they come into court and I give them a piece of paper and they can call the phone and they can do an assessment on the phone, and then it connects them with what resources or what services. So everybody doesn't need inpatient treatment.
No.
And then we have the faith-based programs too. And so what I always do is I have a list of different service providers in the community. I want people to be a part of their own treatment plan. So I want them to know, okay, what's available to them and what they feel like we want to meet them where they're at, what they want to do as far as the resources and services that are there to be offered to them.
Right.
But they can be transported from the jail or they can go on their own.
Now, and no disrespect, but no disrespect to none of the to the guys that's struggling with substance issues, but most of the time now, and I'm just speaking, not you, Judge. Most of the time, our guys choose the least resistant. You know, they choose the easy way out because, you know, it's just part of the cunning and baffling behavior of an addict.
It is. And so the thing is, we first start with meeting them where they're at the least restrictive method. And then if it doesn't work, then we do it my way. So, but I always try to meet them where they're at of giving them that least restrictive method, because I have to take into consideration too, and what I do, depending on what the nature of their charges are, it is, you know, they have a family, a lot of them do. They have a job that they're trying to hold down. And so I don't want them to lose everything that they have, because then it puts them in a worse position. So there's a lot of different factors that we take into consideration. But after a certain time, if it doesn't work, I don't start seeing negative drug screens, then maybe inpatient treatment is best for you. And what I find is a lot of times we got to move them out of their community. Like, we need to put them outside of their community so that they can truly focus on themselves. Because they can't be doing treatment and then, you know, Pookie walks, you know, down the street and then they want to go to the, you know, to the corner and get whatever may be offered. And so, you know, there's a lot of different factors that go into play.
You know, in treatment, they say, man, you know, I'm not saying it's only one way to get clean and sober, because I don't believe in just one way becoming clean and sober. But I do believe changing people, places, and things.
Correct.
I definitely believe in that concept. It's hard to be clean and sober in the same dirty environment.
Correct.
It just, you know, just like you said, little Pookie come by, we just no knock on little Pookie, but when you come by, you know, he is, you know, he's offering the guy drugs and alcohol.
Correct.
You know?
And that is the hardest part, is, you know, and that's what I see that a lot of them struggle with. They do very well under structure when they're at the different facilities, but then coming back home, and especially if your mom is using, you know, your husband's using, your girlfriend's using, and you got to go right back into that environment, and you haven't been gone long enough to be able to be strong enough. It makes it difficult. And that's the part that we see and that we struggle with a lot of times is that have to going back into that same environment that they you know, that they don't have a choice to go into. And so, you know, what else can we do? And so that's why we try to wrap as many resources and services around them when they get out, or give them an option of going to like a sober living home, which is a step down from inpatient treatment. So yes.
Now, what are some, you don't have to talk about the resources. I was going to ask you to talk about, you know, some of the treatment facilities, but you don't have to. But we just know in what you just said that you guys have a list of available treatment placements if need be, whether it be inpatient or outpatient.
That is correct. So, you know, I'm not only just looking at the substance abuse component, I'm looking at the whole holistic approach. And so on Thursdays in our drug court, I usually have 4 or 5 different providers that come in. So that's whether that's voter registration. I want people to understand that they have a right to vote. Just because they may have a felony conviction or they're in a deferred program. A lot of times we've been taught that, oh, well, if I have a conviction, that I may not be able to vote. So I'm having people come and educating them about what are the resources out there. You know, if they're don't know where they're going to lay their head at, we're having people come in and talk about what the resources are for them to, you know, be able to, if they are looking for employment or, you know, basically GED, we're having different resource providers come in. And so I always say it's my job to go out into the community and find out what resources are viable resources out there, and then bring it back to the court system and be able to connect them with those resources. Because a lot of times I do see people want to change, they just don't know where to start. So that is one thing. When they come into my courtroom, I have tons of papers of just different resources out there to be able to connect them. But I want them to hear from those resource providers on their own. So that's why every Thursday we have 4 or 5 different resource providers out there, whether it's faith-based, state certified, because treatment looks different for everybody. And we want to make sure that we're giving them those options.
What does success look like for participants that attend your program?
Success looks different for everybody. success looks probably from their standpoint is getting through the program and graduating from the program with that felony dismissed off their record. But I have one young lady who she started drug court. She started in my court. Well, she wasn't in drug court. She wasn't offered drug court.
Right.
But she put herself in drug court. So she knew that I had court every Thursday, and she would come and sit in there. And then I was like, but you're not in drug court. And so, but she would get the resources that we were offering because she wanted it. She wanted that accountability of me sewing into her and talking to her. And then she eventually picked up some more serious charges, which then put her in drug court. And success to me with her was that one is that when she first came in, she was testing positive for fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, anything that you can think of. She had anywhere from 5 to 7 different substances in her system. By the time she graduated, she wasn't testing positive for anything. The other thing is her husband had filed divorce on her. He then decided to tear the divorce papers up, and she was able to get custody of her children back. Now she's one of the reps for, I think it's Narcotics Anonymous that she's over with. So that's success to me, that she got her family back. She got her kids back. She was able to get gainful employment, that she's testing negative. And now she's one of the spokespersons for drug court. She goes around when I need people to talk, and she talks about the success of the program. And so that's what success looks like for me.
That's awesome.
And so I had one, and this is quickly, I know you got to end. One little guy, success, and this is baby steps for this guy. He's probably 18 or 19 years old. And he would come in every day with a black pants on, a wife beater, and a hoodie. And the hoodie would be on. And I would always tell him, that's not how you dress for court. Eventually, he started changing. He started wearing slacks. He started wearing a pair, slacks, a button-up shirt. Started doing his hair differently, and now looking for gainful employment. That's success because I see the small changes that he's making in his life. And, we're here to help support him and help him maneuver, but he didn't have anyone to help educate him, help him maneuver around here. And that's what the program offers, is those resources and that accountability for individuals.
Wow. Why are you so passionate about this drug court thing?
I don't know. My heart is there. I feel like it's a God thing. And so I always say I tell them we all have a purpose in this world. And honestly, I feel like my purpose is drug court, to be able to help individuals get their life back on track and find their purpose. And so I think that's why I'm very passionate about what I do. And I don't give up easily on them, because I know, I don't know. It may take 2 or 3 times before a person gets to where they need to be.
It may take 5 or 6 times.
It may take 5 or 6 times. I mean, I've dealt with people who I've unfortunately had to send away, but they come back and say, "Thank you for doing that."
That's the best thing you probably did for me.
Correct. Yeah. So, I think just to see the change that people can make, and everybody doesn't always make that change, but the 1 or 2, 3 people that you can have a positive impact on, I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I hate to see and hear in my communities is that I hate to see people degrade the individuals, the people that are struggling with drugs and alcohol. Oh, they ain't nothing but a crackhead. Excuse my, no disrespect when I say this, but these are the kind of things that you hear.
Correct.
And you look at me when I'm looking at those people, or some of my people that struggle with drugs and alcohol, and I'm looking deep through them. I'm looking in their soul.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm looking at shame, hurt, guilt, pain. I'm looking at someone decided to say, it's easy for me to keep going this way, to turn around to face everybody that I hurt in my life, and my kids, and how many people I let down. It's easy for me to keep going that way.
Right.
It's hard for me to turn around to come back, because I got to face these people coming back this way.
Right.
So I just keep going this way.
Right.
And I look and I tell some of these people who disrespecting these guys, I say, look, man, I guarantee you, if that person can get clean and sober and feel good about themselves, they would do it.
And that's so
true. They would try to find a way.
It's a disease. It's a disease.
You got to be careful how you disrespect these folks, man. You know. So
Right. And you just think about it, that's somebody's mother, their father. Nobody asked to be addicted to drugs. Nobody asked to pick that lifestyle. Sometimes life just lifes and it
And
happens.
yeah,
And that's what I tell
God,
these young folks all the time when they come into my courtroom and when they're using certain substances. I get all the time, it's just marijuana, judge. But I just did that this afternoon. There was 4 people sitting in the box, and this kid who was 18 said that, I just smoked some weed. And I said, what did y'all all start off with? Everybody in the box said THC.
yeah,
And I said, what are you using now? Everybody told me they're using cocaine, heroin,
yeah,
fentanyl, and their lives are spiraling out of control. And so I try to make them understand that, you know, it impacts people differently. And so
yeah.
don't be judgmental in looking at those individuals, because if you don't start making a change, then you can find yourself in that
Down
same
the same road.
situation. So yes.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
Judge, let's get into some fast questions, and I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
go, man, because I done held you long enough.
No, you're
The
good.
judge gotta go, but I gotta ask these some fast questions, fun
Uh-oh.
questions, and I ask all my guests pretty much the same questions. But
Okay, I'm ready for
yeah,
it.
just fun questions. I'm gonna let you go here in a minute. When you're not working, because you seem like you work a lot of hours still.
I do.
What is one favorite thing that you like to do?
Even though it doesn't show right now, I do like to go work out. And so I'm gonna get my life back on track. But usually that's my me time to just focus on myself and kind of release. And so working out and just, having that time to kind of debrief and just be away from just the world and focus on myself.
I could dig it.
So
I can't. I'm gonna reserve my comments about myself. Now, would you rather be famous or would you rather be rich? Which one you want to be, rich or famous?
I would probably say rich. I don't like the fame. I'm a person who likes to work behind the scenes. I don't need all the glory and everything that comes with it. I'd rather be able to, because I think if I'm rich, I'm going to help people. And so I'm a big,
You're a helper.
I'm a helper. And
Yeah.
so, it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to hopefully be able to bless other people. But fame, that I could care less about the fame.
I got you. I'm with you on that now. I ask people, and people, I had somebody say they want to be famous. I'm like, what? Yeah. Because fame, you got money. I guess that's why.
Well, maybe everybody who's got. Everybody that's fame does not always have money. So,
but money, man, can help. If you're not a selfish individual, money can help people around you.
Correct.
You can help support this initiative. You can help this initiative, and that's what I would do if I had money. I would help a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's what I would do. I could definitely see that, and it would be something that people may not even know it's me who's helping them,
and sometimes
because I don't
think
need
it's
that recognition. Yeah. So, but just being able there to support other people is always a blessing.
And if I was rich, I would help my family, and they would know that I was rich because they keep coming back.
Exactly. I think we all have some of those family members. I'm
like, no, this is a gift.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, my family would be one of the ones that would not know that.
Do you have a hidden talent?
Oh, a hidden talent. A lot of people are surprised that I like to cook, and so they don't usually see that. They're pretty shocked when I say I like to.
Why would
cook.
they say that? Because I guess because of your profession, probably. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not surprised about that.
Really?
No, I'm like, maybe I don't know. No, I'm not surprised.
I would say I like to cook. I like to experiment, and so and I like to party plan. Like I like to do different parties and plan and make sure things are very nice. And so
you like to organize parties?
I do like to organize parties. And
are you organize parties for your family? Are you that person?
I am that person. I just did one for my husband's family, an 80th birthday party and a retirement party for them. So
his parents?
No, it was his aunts. His two aunts. And so we just did that maybe 3 weeks ago.
Are they local?
One of them was from Virginia, that flew in from Virginia, and then one was here. And so
and they flew in together?
They came in together.
Oh, man. That was nice.
So yeah, we did that and surprised them. So that was really
that was nice. I know they was appreciative.
They were.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Now what 2 more questions. What is your pet peeve? If you have one.
My pet peeve.
If you have one pet peeve.
My pet peeve in court is
Okay, you can say that.
Because I think it bothers me more than anything
Yeah,
is when
I
I
believe
see grown men come in and they are still relying on their mother to make all their decisions for them and be responsible. There's so many times they will have missed court and they're like, well, my mom didn't give me my court date, or my mom didn't tell me.
That is the saddest thing.
And
go ahead.
No, and I think, and that's what bothers me, and that's why it's so important for us, moms, and just as kids, that we sow into our kids that they need to be responsible. They need to be able to stand on their own. That is not anybody else's fault. I hear so many times, I'll hear kids talking and they're blaming everybody else around them.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need to be able to take accountability. So I think that's one of my pet peeves, of blaming everybody else for your fault. Stand up and be the person and take the, if you did something wrong, own it and then change it.
And to me, that is early on in this conversation, we talked about I don't know if we talked about it on air, but trauma.
Yes.
Trauma in relationships. To me, man, that when you blaming folks and you're not taking accountability, that's a cognitive distortion. That's a distorted thinking ideal, So, and it starts somewhere.
Right.
And these things got to be tackled. But first of all, you got to be aware.
Correct.
And that's the kind of counseling that you need, some type of cognitive behavior therapy.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not trying to counsel nobody, but man, because that's just when you need to hear yourself do this.
Correct.
To understand what you're doing.
Right.
And how that sounds.
No, I so agree with you. And I think too, like what you said was so important, is that we have to start doing more therapy. We are so used to just holding everything in that it does impact us, and then it rears its ugly head as we get older. And so, it's okay to go to therapy. We all need somebody to talk to and to be able to release, and sometimes to process it, because just because you were raised a certain way doesn't mean that we were raised the right way. And sometimes hearing it from a different person or seeing it from a different perspective then kind of helps you be able to grow as a person. And so
that's
I think that's so important. Correct.
The idea, who's to say the right way or the wrong way being raised?
Correct.
But having someone, a professional to talk to.
Correct.
To kind of walk through some things with you.
Correct.
That are hindering you,
mm-hmm.
or has hindered you,
right.
from being the best version of you.
Right. And that's so huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question.
Uh-huh.
What's your deepest regret, if you have one?
My deepest regret? Oh, I don't know if I have a deepest regret. I don't think I have a deepest regret right now.
And you
which is a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you are okay with all the things that you've done thus far, and you don't regret any of it.
I don't regret anything at this time.
Not even like playing basketball.
No, I could care less about that.
I'm just playing.
No, I honestly, that's a tough one. You really make me think about that. I guess maybe just being more open, I guess. A lot of times I probably hide my feelings. And so I think sometimes my deepest regret is probably not always being as open with some of our loved ones that we could have been, even, people who may even not be here anymore, not being open and telling them that you love them, so that they could truly see how you truly feel about them. So I would say that may be one of my deepest regrets, of not always being open as I could be with my loved ones.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, this drug court thing, you've been on this quest for a while now, and just for the people that are listening and the people that may not know who you are, may want to follow your success and follow not even your success, because it's not about you really. It's about what you're doing in the courtroom. Want to follow along in the courtroom, just connect with you. How can they find you on social media?
So I am only on Facebook. So I have Keep Judge Fortune Facebook page. And so that's probably the best way. A lot of times as judges, it's hard for us to, especially because you never know who's in your courtroom.
Yes,
so we have to be very careful that we're not having any kind of ex parte communication
thank you.
With individuals. So, I have to be very careful who I can actually communicate.
Thank you.
But if there's ever, they're in need of any resources, they can reach out to my office and to my staff. And then they can be able to connect with what that person may need, or
Thank
be
you.
able to get the message properly to me if it's something that is not related
Yes,
to a
ma'am.
particular case.
Well, thank you for clearing that up, because that is a true statement.
Mhm.
But if you're in need of treatment and you're in need of help, resources,
Yes.
there are you contact Miss Fortune's office,
Yes.
and her team will make sure you get the information that you need.
Correct. That
Bottom
is
line.
correct. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
always have all kind of resources right there in the courtroom. So if they're up at the courthouse, they can always come into the courtroom, and I'll either have my staff or one of our case managers be able to connect them and tell them, help them with what they may need to get them on the right track.
Well, Judge Fortune, man, it's been a
Mhm.
pleasure to speak with you, and
Yes.
it's been great, man. I look, thank you for coming by.
You're welcome. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it this evening.
Yes, ma'am. And we have to do it again some other time. And
We do.
and I will you know, the next time you have an event, I would love to come. Like I
Okay.
told you before, just let me know when it's happening, or I'll follow you on social media. I'll find
Okay.
what's going on, and reach out to your office and figure out what's going on. But you know,
Definitely.
substance abuse is near and dear to me. My mom was an addict.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know a lot of addicts in my family, and some not. And also my background of doing substance abuse counseling for a
Right.
lot of years. Myself,
Okay.
you know, working in Florida as a substance abuse counselor, working in some of the biggest treatment centers in Florida.
Right.
I worked in some where they fly in from all over, come down
Mhm.
to South Florida, coming to these. I worked in some nice treatment centers.
I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah.
And,
Florida has some of the nicest ones.
Yeah,
And so
and I worked 9 to 10 years doing that,
wow.
working in there. And it's my passion too. So I love
Mhm.
doing that, offering counseling, running NAA groups, you know,
Okay.
doing all
Well, I'm
that
gonna
kind
have
of
to
stuff.
get you in there and
Yeah, doing smart recovery for those
yes.
who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you still do any of those kind of classes?
Man, I was doing it for Alethea House for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and now I'm not doing any of it now. But I
Okay.
would love to get more involved.
We would
in
love
that.
to have you,
Yeah,
because
so
what we do is we do a gender court, and so usually we'll split the courts up, and then when we're handling one court, they go over and they do a class with a group or somebody that gives them those different tools like smart recovery or
Yes.
AA or NA,
Yes.
just to invest in them so that they can see that there's others. So we may have to get you in there to come and do one of our classes.
I would like to do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna take you up on it.
Hey, we on record right now.
Okay,
We on
all right.
record.
I'm gonna go back and pull it
Yeah,
up. So
be
when I
like,
call,
Mike,
I was like, Mr. Steele,
play
this
this
is
back.
what you said. I'm gonna send you the recording. So
That's it, man. So, guys, man, it's been a pleasure talking with Judge Maria Fortune. Yeah, so it's been a pleasure. As always, man, y'all tune in, man. Make sure y'all check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm in 8 different places. Also, man, go and get this finished product. It'll drop on Sunday on this version here. iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out, man. And thank y'all for tuning in, man. Until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. This is Mike Steele. I'm out. Hold on 1 second, though.